Welcome. Now what we want to do is write a test case for our subtract method. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing what we want to do is we want to go to our controller test class and write a method where we will say public void test subtract function, and we don't know the scenario now, so we will just say @test, and we will copy the display function for now. And right now what we will do is we will go quickly here and see what it takes. It takes a number 1 and number 2, and then it does this calculation. So let's go ahead and see what we can test. So let's say we are going to test a scenario when num1 is greater than num2. So num1 is greater than num2. That's our scenario. So here I'm going to just say double, because that's what we are going to get. Double result equal to, we are going to say calculator controller dot subtract, and we will pass two values. So I'm going to pass the num1 and num2, which we have already initialized at the top. Perfect. And now what we will do is we will say assertions dot assert equals, we will use assert equals, and here we will say when the num1 value is greater than num2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pass maybe one more. So now the value of num1 is 3.5. So I'm going to add 1 here. So it's going to become 4.5, and this is num2. So if it goes here and here it checks num1 is greater than num2, so it's going to say num1 minus num2. So 4.5 minus 3.5, we will get value as 1.0. So I'm going to say expected is 1.0, and the actual, let's see what we get. So now if I want to, let me also update this. Let's update. So test subtraction for num1 greater than num2 scenario. That's the scenario we are testing. Let's say I don't want to run all these tests, so I could use @disabled. So let's say if I want to do not use this one, so I would say @disabled. So this test won't run. Let me show you that. Run test, and you will see that particular test will not run. So you see this test did not run because this has been disabled. But this test did run. Perfect. So now what I want to do is I want to check if my test covered all the scenarios. How can we do that? Because our test came here. So this piece of code got tested. But what about this piece? This never got tested. So how can we test which scenario, what is the code coverage of our code? So what we can do is I can go here and say, I will remove all these debug points not required. I could say on this test, right click, and I can say run test with coverage. So let me run this. So you will see some portion which will be tested will get covered with green. Other portion which will not be tested will be red. So here you see this line. It says this piece of code from here to here is tested. So it's red, green. But this and this also is tested. with one scenario, but this piece is red. It's not tested, this line. So which means that we have to write another scenario. So I will click on this, click on this, and it will go away. Or pull this and put it here. We have to run another scenario where we have to cover this part as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So I will copy this, and we have to write another test scenarios where we will say num1 is less than num2, which means now I have to pass this. Instead, I will say this. So if I do this, what will be the expectation? Let's see. So now we are passing num2 as 4.5 and num1 as 3.5. So expectation result will be exactly same. But now our test will cover the code. So if I run this whole, I want to check the code coverage of the whole class. So let me remove this at the rate disabled, or also maybe comment it for now. And we will see the code coverage for the whole class. So right click and say run test with coverage. It's going to now update and do the calculation based on all our test scenarios that we have written and how many lines of code it has covered. So I will say add to active suite. Let's check now in our main class, in the controller class, what it got covered. So this got covered because of the one test. This got covered. Perfect. And now this piece which was not covered is also covered because of this test scenario we just wrote. Perfect. So in this way, but now this particular test is not covered. So we should write a unit test for this particular scenario as well. So let's do that in our next video. Thank you.